Welcome everybody to the Fanmouth Daily Fantasy Baseball Breakdown for Wednesday, June the 4th. I'm Joe Marsh, joined today by Dave Del Grande. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing great, thanks.
All right, we're both coming off a couple of good nights. Going to be another good night tonight. 13 games on the evening slate. We're going to go through all the positions, help you build your lineup, give you advice based on what we think. So starting with pitcher. I think tonight you can use Strasburg. I think he's just a really different pitcher at home. You look at 2.03 ERA at home, 2.44 batting average against. Most importantly, 11.57 strikeouts per 9 innings. Facing the Phillies, they're hitting 231 against righties. They average a little over 8 strikeouts a game. I don't usually pay up for the top tier of pitchers unless I think they have a shot at a big strikeout night. I think Strasburg can do that tonight. I think he can get you 8 to 10 strikeouts at least. To pair with him, a couple ways you can go. If you want to go with another, pretty high-priced pitcher, I think Corey Kluber, if you look at his strikeout totals from his last 6 starts, 13, 9, 9, 8, 9, and 12. Boston is 7th in the league in strikeouts. Kluber has a 2.66 ERA at home, 11.25 Ks per 9 at home, and a 2.09 ERA. You look at Boston hitting 229 on the road, 244 against righties. That's another good way to go. However, there's a weather warning in that game. Both of the Ohio games looks like there's a pretty strong chance of rain. So I think he's a great play, but I wouldn't start him unless it looked like there was going to be clear weather for the whole game. And then the Dave play of the game, if you want to go shopping in the clearance section. How about Daisuke Matsuzaka? I think it's pretty much what you're looking for in a low-price pitcher. He costs next to nothing, 6,600. He's made one start this year. He pitched well. He's also pitched well out of the bullpen. Given up a 139 batting average this year. That's very solid. And he's facing the Cubs, who's worst in the league at hitting right-handers. 220 batting average, hitting 237 at home. 7th in the league in strikeouts. And he's got the wind blowing in today. I mean, he's been decent strikeouts this year. Actually, he's missing a lot of bats. He's had a bit of trouble with walks, but also people aren't getting a lot of hits off him this year. I think you could balance, go Strasburg and Matsuzaka and sort of balance all over the place. You can have some money for a few high-priced players as long as you find a few discounts on offense. What do you think, Dave?
You've stolen all of my thunder. How dare you? How dare you stoop to the bottom of the salary chart and swipe my guy away? But it's everything you're looking for. You mentioned it. Everything you're looking for in a really bargain basement pitcher is, first off, facing a very weak opponent. The Cubs are the worst team in the league hitting right-handers. And Matsuzaka, you mentioned it. If you look at his splits, 093 batting average against lefties, 172 batting average against righties. Now, small sample size, but that combination and facing a poor hitting team and the lowest price on the board, you've got to at least take a look at him. And one reason that we'll get to later on, I think there's a lot of high-priced hitting options tonight that you might want to get to, and if you pitch Matsuzaka, that's going to give you an additional 1 or 2 real heavyweight hitters in your lineup, and that might be enough of a trade-off to get you to consider it. I agree with you that Strasburg is the #1 overall pitcher among the heavyweights. I like Wainwright as well against Kansas City, another weak hitting team. But you just can't play both of them, I don't think, on a night where there's so much good hitting. I'd say the same thing about Kluber. I agree with what you say. He's been really striking out a lot of guys and pitching well. I do respect the Boston offense a little more than I do the Kansas City and the Philadelphia offense, which is going against the other two guys. So I think as pitcher tonight, I think I'm going to go with the heavyweight and the lightweight tonight. I think I'm going to go with just what you said, Strasburg and Daisuke.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Wainwright as far as his last start where he got lit up. Usually, I like to just discount outlying starts. The only problem would be you're paying that much, you want to see a big strikeout total. We've discussed Kansas City for a poor offense really doesn't strike out that much. So at that price, you're wanting to see, at least 8, 9 strikeouts. If he only, if he doesn't get that many, I'm not sure he's worth value. But I think he can definitely shut down Kansas City tonight. Moving over to catcher, since I stole your thunder, we may want to talk about the same guy. Why don't you go ahead and go first?
I don't know that we will.
Okay.
I, you know, First game you've got to look at, no matter who's pitching, is a game at Colorado. And Arizona doesn't have a whole lot of great options in their offense. I'm looking for a left-handed hitter against Lyles tonight. Lyles has actually been pretty good. I think Arizona's best option comes at the catcher position in Montero. He's a home run hitting catcher. He's a lefty. He's a power guy against Lyles. He might be the only guy I can make a case for tonight for Arizona on Arizona's offense. And it's just, and his price is right. So, and I don't really like the high-priced options here. I mentioned earlier, I've got a couple of real high-priced infielders and a couple of real high-priced outfielders. So catcher's a spot where I'd like to save money. And you get a power-hitting catcher at Colorado for a low price. I think you can do a whole lot worse than that.
Yeah, that's a solid play. I thought there were a couple good high-priced options. I didn't think Mesoraco was that bad, but I think the standout to me has got to be Derek Norris, hitting 322 against lefties, and I really want to attack Nuno tonight. He's got a 7.94 ERA at home. He's given up 7 home runs to righties. I'm gonna get plenty of A's in the lineup today against Nuno.
I agree with that. I don't even consider Norris one of the heavyweight catchers. I mean, I think he's number 8 on the salary chart. The kind of guys I was thinking about, I'm talking about Posey, and the real high price catchers. When you look at Posey tonight in a matchup against Cingrani gives up a lot of power to right-handed hitters. And Cincinnati's ballpark is a good homer ballpark. Normally I'd say, man, Posey's a great, but he just hasn't been doing it lately. And you're right. I think Norris is a much better option tonight than Posey. And you want to save even a little more than that, I would go with Montero. But I do like your choice. I do like Norris there.
Yeah, so sticking with that, moving over to first base, I'm going to throw out kind of a weird call and say Brandon Moss. Obviously, he's a guy you always look for when there's a righty starting, but I don't mind him against a weak lefty in Yankee Stadium where he jacked 2 home runs last night. He's hitting 343, 3 home runs and 35 at-bats against lefties this season. Now, the problem would be, is he going to be in the lineup? Is he going to be moved down in the lineup? But if he's in his usual spot, I see no problem starting him against a bad lefty. If not, Kyle Blanks is a decent option if he's in the lineup. Or you want to go low price here. John Singleton, guy just called up by the Astros, hits a home run in his major league debut. He's a guy you may want to ride up. I mean, they're touting him as every bit as talented as, some of the other top prospects. He already had 14 home runs this year in AAA. So, I believe he's around $5,000. So kind of do what I did with Springer and just keep throwing him out there and ride him as his price goes all the way up. I don't think he's a bad play either today. What do you think at first base?
Well, I think I agree with you first off about the A's. The big question mark, like you said, is because Blanks has been doing so well, I can almost assure you that Blanks is going to be in the lineup in some way, shape, or form. Now, the question is, will he and Moss both be in there, one at first base, one at DH, or not? I would think Moss would be the guy that they would sit before they would sit Blanks in this matchup, but I'm guessing they're both going to play as well. So I do like the Moss play. I think the number 1 matchup tonight that I would like to attack is Milwaukee against Nolasco. Nolasco, has pitched very poorly. He's especially bad against left-handed hitters, 343 average against, 6 homers allowed to lefties. Milwaukee's got big, powerful right-handed hitters. So the good news there is that their best lefties are good price guys. And so Overbay, lefty hitter, has some power, bats in the middle of that lineup. He's a very nice price tonight. I think he's a really good bargain play among a good crop of first basemen. But like I said, I'm looking to spend big money elsewhere. I'll go with Overbay in this, what I consider the number 1 matchup of the night, and feel real good about it.
Yeah, I tried that same thing the other day, but he actually wasn't in the lineup. They were facing a weak righty who had bad splits against lefties, so I assumed he would be in the lineup. But he wasn't. Mark Reynolds hit a home run that day. But I'm with you. If Overbay's in there, that's a great place to save money. And then second base, I'm guessing we're sticking with the same theme there with Jeanette. Same thing. Like you pointed out, Nolasco, 343 average to lefties, not very good. Jeanette hits 302 against righties, 7 for his last 14. He's been swinging the bat well lately. I think he's a great play. You know, that second base is a spot where you can save money, so you can afford some of your high-priced outfielders. You agree with that?
Absolutely. I think everything you said is right on. Like I said, I'm looking for Milwaukee left-handed hitters tonight against Nolasco. Really only two that I would consider. I mentioned Overbay already. Jeanette is an even better play. He's a hotter hitter. He's you know, a lower price. He's got everything going for him at a position where, like first base, I think you can make a case for 5 or 6 different guys. Second base, you know, I can't make a case for almost anybody considering their prices. I think Jeanette's a standout at second base. You know, a real nice guy to get in the lineup tonight because he gives you options at other positions.
Yeah, it's funny when you see a player that has really bad splits against left-handers, and you're saying, oh, he's playing Milwaukee, let's get some lefties in the lineup. There are no lefties to get in the lineup.
Right.
There's Jeanette, there's Overbay sometimes. That's it. That's all you got, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, get them in. That's the best you're going to do today. And I think we're on the same page again over at third base. What do you got for me there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I could almost assure you that we are. You know, Donaldson. You know, first off, Nuno, you mentioned him before. He's terrible against lefties. He gives up a lot of power against righties. Donaldson kills left-handed pitching. He's a power hitting, guy hits with a lot of power against left-handed pitchers. Nuno gives up a lot of power to right-handed hitters. I mean, it's just a home run waiting to happen, and at a decent home run park as well. I think Donaldson is a must-play tonight at third base. High price, but I've already talked about saving money at catcher, first base, and second base, and probably a pitcher with the cheapest pitcher going. So I'm going to spend the money somewhere. This is one of those positions.
Yeah, especially when you're going with a pitcher that's that cheap. If you roll out the Matsuzaka, you'll have plenty of money to spend at, if you want to go after top guys, you'll only need to save a couple other places. And yeah, you can get the Donaldsons in your lineup. 296, 6 home runs, and 54 at bats against lefties. And we haven't mentioned the fact that he's hit 5 home runs in his last 9 games. So now is the time to get on Donaldson. That's my home run pick. I believe he's your home run pick as well.
That's correct.
All right. So you lost a little ground yesterday. You're not going to be able to make any up today because we got the same guy going.
Right, and I had mine in there first, and you copied it. I know how this goes.
Yeah, I'll just copy you the rest of the year, and I'll be 3 home runs ahead of you by the end. All right, moving over to shortstop. What do you got?
Well, I'm spending money here. I'm going with Tulowitzki. There was talk among our panel yesterday that here's a guy who's ice cold, coming off a road trip where he was terrible, but going back home where he hits over 500. What would he do? And he didn't do much, but he did hit a home run in the 9th inning last night, which, as far as I was concerned, it was enough. And now tonight he comes back against Cole Mentor, who's been decent, but Cole Mentor's given up 7 homers to right-handed hitters. Guys batting 500 at home. Other teams pitching a very average pitcher who gives up some power. I'm sticking with them. So if I'm rolling the quote unquote dice tonight, I'm also here's one of the guys I'm spending big on, and that's Tulowitzki. I'm sticking with him.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That would be the highest price. If I want to go a little lower down, I think Jed Lowry's a good play this year to go against Nuno. He's very affordable. He hits 258 on the road. More importantly, I'm going to, once I see the lineup, I will need to see the lineup, but I'm assuming I'm going to love whoever's behind him. If he's hitting in front of Norris, Cespedes, or Donaldson, or all 3 of them, all he's going to need to do is get on base a couple times, and I think he's going to have a big chance to score a few runs. I think it's going to be a big night for the A's. I was with you on Tulowitzki yesterday. I think it's a great play to get again today. And then Chris Owings, I thought that was a great play yesterday. I think he's a great play again today.
I was wondering if you were going to get to him. I was surprised you didn't say him first, your boy.
Yeah,
you're right. He only gets a certain number of shots at Colorado. And he came through last night and tonight, against against Lyles, a decent pitcher, but nothing special.
Yeah. And I
At
think
a
Pennington,
very
Pete
low
Pennington's
price.
going to be out for a while, so Owings is going to be seeing some more regular at bats. So I would look for him. His price will probably be up, but I would look for him to produce a bit more. And then outfield. I don't love some of the matchups as much as I did yesterday. Why don't you go ahead and start us off, because it sounds like there's a lot that you love today.
Well, yes, there is. And this is a night where I'm probably going to go with multiple lineups because I can make a case for, like most nights, you could make a case for a dozen outfielders tonight. First off, I think, to me, Nelson Cruz and Tulowitzki are two guys that if you can afford them, you really should play every day. Tulowitzki at home, definitely. Nelson Cruz, no matter where they're playing. The guy is just on fire. He catches a good matchup tonight at a home run hitting park. He's facing Martinez of Texas, arguably the weakest pitcher going tonight. He's got to be in the lineup. Then I've talked about the Brewers already. Now the Brewers' big power hitting outfielders are both right-handed hitters, which isn't necessarily ideal against Nolasco. But he's got a 299 batting average against righties. While it's not the 343 he has against lefties, 299 is not bad either. And when you're talking about Milwaukee's two best players, big right-handed hitting outfielders, I think you need to consider both of them. I'd put Braun slightly ahead of Gomez there. I think the Colorado outfielders tonight against Cole Mentor, 300 batting average against lefties. You've got, Gonzalez, Blackman, and Dickerson, if in fact all three of them start. Dickerson's the best price there. Maybe you get a nice bargain with him. And one other team I'll point out is the Giants. I mentioned them earlier when I've talked about Posey. The Cingrani gives up a lot of power to right-handed hitters. The Giants have two big, certainly Morse is a big home run hitter among the outfielders. Pence has been as hot as any hitter going, had a homer last night. So you got two home run threats there. So as much as I'd like to say I'd like to get a Giant in there, I'd like to get a Rocky in there, I'd like to get a Brewer in there, and then I thought, well, whoa. The list starts with Cruz. Like I said, there's a lot of different ways to go there, but like I said, my outfield is going to start with Cruz and probably Braun, and then I'll see how much money I have left.
Yeah, it looks like we agree a ton in the outfield. Cruz, obviously the best play, 9 home runs in his last 14 games. That's massive. But also, he's not an all-or-nothing guy because he has 21 hits over that span. So he can get, if you start him and he doesn't hit a home run, he's still a guy who's getting on base. He's still be able to drive and run, still be able to score runs. So I feel very safe starting him because he's got a high floor as well. Still only the 5th highest price outfielder too, he's got more points per game than anybody else in the outfield. He's got more home runs. And like you said, the matchup doesn't matter. He's crushing lefties. He's crushing righties. 17 home runs in 169 at bats against righties. Unless he's facing, a superstar pitcher, I would never fear to start him. Same with Puig. Puig's continuing to hit. He's always a good play. Had 2 more hits last night. I agree with you on Dickerson. I agree with you on Braun and Gomez, except that I have it flip-flopped. I have Gomez just a bit ahead of Braun because he hits right-handers a bit better. Michael Morse, you talked about. He's got 5 home runs and 60 at-bats against lefties. 7 of his 11 home runs have come on the road. And he's facing Cingrani, who's allowed 7 home runs to right-handed batters. That's a great park for a home run hitter, as you mentioned. That's looking like a great chance for a home run play as well for a cheap option. The other guy I would throw out, Colin Cowgill. This will be more of a check the lineup. If Trout is out, Cowgill's in, and he has a good spot in the lineup. That's 3 ifs. I think he's a good play. He's if 4 hits with 2 home runs over his last 3 games. Trout left the game yesterday. Cowgill came in to fill in for him. See how that lineup is stacked. If he's in a good spot, I think he's a solid play as well. That wraps it up. We'll go ahead and give you our final words. Again, at pitcher, I think we agree Strasburg and Matsuzaka is a good way to go. That gives you an elite option, gives you, a bit of a risk, but a good chance to score some points, and you'll still be able to afford some high-price bats. I think, for me, pretty much on the infield, going with the A's is the way to go. I like Norris. I like Moss. I consider that a bit of a risky play But that's going to be a check the lineup play. Make sure he's in and he's hitting where you want him to hit. Donaldson, Lowry, get your A's in there. I think Donaldson's the top play today. Jeanette is, like I said, there's only a few spots where you're going to need to save some money. If you roll with, Jeanette and Lowry, you may have enough to afford the other guys that you want. If you need to save money, maybe at your utility, you can always consider John Singleton. That's a risky play, but a guy that you can sort of, like I said, ride on his way up. He's going to be at 8,000 within a month or two, so might as well play him now while he's cheap. Nelson Cruz, the top play. Puig, obviously, yeah, get some Brewers, get some Giants in your outfield as well. Dave, final word.
Well, I've done this a lot. Maybe a lot of the viewers here have never done this, but when you slot the lowest price pitcher into your lineup, you'll be shocked with the number of high price hitters you get in there. I mean, what a difference it makes when instead of pitching a $15,000 pitcher, you're pitching a $6,000 guy. You basically get an extra $1,000 to use on every hitter. Then, if on top of that, if you go out and save some money, like I'm suggesting, with a Montero, with an Overbay, with a Jeanette, all of a sudden, now you look up, wow, I've got 5 spots open, and I got 50,000 still to spend. You could take the highest price guy at basically every remaining spot. And while that's not always a good option, tonight I think it is. Tonight, when you look at Tulowitzki and Donaldson and Cruz and Braun, you're talking about not necessarily the very, very highest priced guys, although in a couple of these cases they are, but 4 real pricey guys to put in your lineup. And then again, if you got 1 or 2 spots left, you'd be surprised that wow, I still got 18,000 left for these last 2 spots, and you still get some decent players in there. All because you've decided that Matsuzaka is the kind of risk you're willing to take. So my suggestion, as it often is here, is just fiddle with it. Put Matsuzaka in there with Strasburg. See the type of hitters you get in your lineup, and ask yourself, is this a chance I'm willing to take, or I'm going to play more conservatively, put the 2 high-priced pitchers in there, and then go with a lot of lesser hitters, because there are a lot of good options, especially in the outfield, as usual. You got Span and Bourne and Markakis. I mean, you've got a bunch of guys in the outfield who are mid to lower price guys who have been hitting well. But my suggestion is roll the quote-unquote dice tonight. Go with Dice K as one of your pitchers, and I think you'll enjoy the number of points you'll score based mainly on your fielders.
Roll the dice, K. Yeah, Dave's strategy is starting to pick up a little momentum here. I ordinarily I'm not a huge fan of it, but yeah, I trust Dice K a bit tonight. I mean, he's a guy who was a richer. He has pitched this year, mostly in relief. He made a very good start. And mostly, he can maybe get you the 6 or 7 strikeouts that you need at his price. Facing a weak Cubs team, if he can get you 12 to 15 points, I think that would be an awesome play today.
Yeah, at 6,000, or slightly higher his price, my goal is to get 1 point for every 1,000 you spend. And at 6,000, he doesn't have to do much to get there. And one point that you made there, and that I would accentuate, is the fact that he's facing the Cubs. I mean, the Cubs are a terrible hitting team. So I'm not saying, well, play Dice K because he's been pitching well, but oh man, he's facing a good offensive team. No, he's pitching well and he's facing a terrible offensive team, and those are the types of situations that I look for when I'm going to take a chance on a guy like this. I think it's a good risk to take tonight.
All right, I think that's Dave and I are pretty excited about that play. I think you should be too. That wraps it up for the day. We will be back tomorrow. In the meantime, you can check out our rankings at blog.fanmouth.com. You can follow us on Twitter at PlayFanmouth. We will see you tomorrow.